Your car dies at 9:14 p.m. on a county road outside Plainfield, Wisconsin, and the silence that follows is the kind that has weight. No other headlights, no farmhouse windows in either direction except one. Amber, distant, a kerosene glow sitting low against the flat, dark land, like an ember that forgot to go out. The temperature is already 18 degrees and dropping fast. You have no winter gear. You have a dead engine and a half-mile of frozen gravel between you and that light. You walk toward it. The mailbox at the end of the dirt track is handmade, the letters painted on in careful block strokes. Gein. You note it the way you note any detail, practically, without weight. A name. Someone home. He answers after the third knock. Slight man, soft-spoken. He's wearing an apron, and he has the look of someone trying hard to remember the social mechanics of an unexpected visitor. How to hold his face, where to put his hands. He says his name is Ed. He says, come in, it's cold. His voice is almost gentle. Almost. The warmth that hits you when the door opens is violent after the cold. You step inside, and underneath the warmth, underneath the kerosene and the wood smoke, there is something else, something organic and faintly sweet, the way fruit smells the day before it turns. You tell yourself, it's a farm. Farms smell. Old farmhouses smell. This is normal. You tell yourself a lot of things in the next 8 hours. The sitting room is decorated. That's the word you use in your head. Decorated. There are lampshades that catch the kerosene light in a way that makes you look twice, then look away. There is a chair near the window with upholstery that is not quite leather and not quite anything you can name. A wastebasket near the door that you glance at once and consciously decide not to examine. He brings you coffee. He asks where you're headed, and the way he asks it, very still, eyes slightly too focused, makes you feel like the answer is being written down somewhere inside him. The phone is in the kitchen. You dial the garage in town and get no answer. You call the operator, and she tells you the nearest tow won't be available until morning. The motel is 12 miles east. Outside, the temperature has dropped to 6 degrees. You can feel it pressing against the kitchen window, like something that wants in. Ed is standing in the doorway when you hang up. He heard everything. He offers the spare room in a voice aimed at the floor, and you say yes, because of course you say yes, because the alternative is your car, and your car is a metal box on a dark road in single-digit cold, and this is just a farmhouse, and he is just a man who can't sleep, and you are being practical. The kitchen smells worse than the sitting room. A row of mason jars lines the back wall, their contents darker than any preserve you've seen, and there is a pot on the stove with the lid slightly ajar that he adjusts as he walks you past it. Casual, the way you'd adjust something you hadn't meant to leave out. He gives you a tour. He carries the kerosene lamp ahead of you, and the shadows move with him. At the end of the hallway, there is a closed door, and he doesn't slow, doesn't speak, doesn't acknowledge it in any way. And that deliberate silence is the loudest thing in the house. You stop walking for 1 full second. The smell is worst here. That same sweetness, but concentrated, biological, something underneath it that your body recognizes before your mind does. The door handle is brass. The wood around the frame is darker than the rest of the hallway, worn in the way of something touched repeatedly, wiped repeatedly, over a long time. Ed is already 3 steps past you, lamp swinging gently. You follow him. The spare room has a hook latch, the small kind, the kind that would surrender to one firm push. You lock it anyway. The mattress is wrong, not soft wrong or hard wrong. Wrong the way a word looks wrong when you stare at it too long. The shape familiar and the meaning suddenly missing. You sit on the edge of it and talk yourself back down. You catalog the evening like a list. The man was polite. The coffee was hot. The house is old. Old houses have smells. You are 12 miles from town, and it is nearly midnight, and you are being irrational. You look at the wall beside the bed. There are photographs, women, posed, preserved, framed with the care of someone who means it. On the dresser there is a bowl, round, smooth, slightly irregular at the rim. Your brain processes its shape and then delivers the information, and then your brain refuses the information and converts it back to ceramic, to decorative, to anything else, because the alternative is not survivable right now, and you need to survive until morning. The pillow smells of something you cannot place. Not dirty, not clean, preserved like the inside of a museum case. You do not sleep. At 1:13 a.m. the footsteps come, slow, purposeful, moving down the hallway and stopping outside your door. You count the seconds. 47. The hook latch doesn't move. The footsteps move away. But you realize then that you have not heard Ed go to bed. You have not heard a second door close, not once all evening. You do not know where he is. You do not know what he does in the hours when no one is watching. The smell comes under the door. Close now. Sweet and wrong and close. You go to the window, painted shut, multiple coats, thick, sealed like it hasn't been opened in years. You try again. The frame shrieks against the sill, a quarter-inch of give and then nothing, and the sound freezes the house. Complete silence. Then the footsteps come back, faster. The hook latch lifts, slowly, as if raised by a finger on the other side. It holds at the top for 2 full seconds, and then stops. Ed's voice comes through the door, soft, almost apologetic. He just wanted to make sure you had enough blankets. You say yes, thank you, you're fine. Because what else do you do? Because the window is painted shut, and the drop is 12 feet to frozen ground, and the road is half a mile away, and it is 6 degrees outside, and he is just asking about blankets, and you are not going to die in this house, because that is not something that happens to people like you, practical people, sensible people, people who make good decisions. The footsteps move away. You sit with your back against the door, and you wait for morning. Dawn comes gray and thin at 5:51 a.m. You don't change your decision. You walk out, right now, in the cold, without explaining yourself, without being polite about it. You come down the stairs and Ed is already in the kitchen, already in his apron. He turns when he hears you, and smiles the smile of a man who has planned for this, who assumed you would come down, who has set 2 plates on the table and 2 cups of coffee and arranged the morning as though it is something you agreed to together. He is between you and the front door, not blocking it, just between it. You tell him your ride is coming. You heard the tow truck from upstairs. You grab your coat off the hook by the door and you thank him, and his face does something brief and disappointed, a child told the afternoon is ending, before he turns back to the stove. You walk out the front door. You walk down the frozen drive. You walk the half mile to your dead car and you get in, and you lock every lock and you sit in 6-degree cold and you shake until your hands stop working, and then you shake some more. A truck passes at 7:20 a.m. and the driver stops and you tell him your car died last night, and he nods and doesn't ask anything else. You don't mention the farmhouse. By the time you get home 3 days later, you have almost convinced yourself you overreacted. He was a lonely old man. The house was old. The smell was the farm. The bowl was ceramic. You were tired and cold and frightened, and you constructed a monster out of lampshades and a jar of dark preserves. 3 days later, November 16th, 1957, Bernice Worden's hardware store in Plainfield is found abandoned mid-morning, a trail of blood leading out the back. The sheriff follows it to the Gein farmhouse. What they find inside enters the official record, catalogued by officers who have to be rotated out of the barn every 20 minutes because no one can stay in there longer than that. 4 chairs upholstered in human skin, lampshades made from the same, a bowl fashioned from the top of a skull, a wastebasket, a vest constructed from a woman's torso, carefully preserved, 9 death masks mounted on the walls like decorations, the faces of women, dried and flattened and displayed, a box of noses, a refrigerator. You read the inventory in a newspaper in your kitchen, and you recognize things. The lamp above the chair, the bowl on the dresser you told yourself was ceramic, the upholstery you told yourself was unusual leather. You were already inside the collection. You sat in it. You breathed it. The only reason you are here, reading this in a kitchen that smells like coffee and dish soap and everything a house is supposed to smell like, is that he wasn't ready for you yet? Not because you were brave, not because you were smart, because of 3 days of luck and a painted shut window, and the fact that Ed Gein, for reasons no one ever fully explained, let you walk out the front door. You look at the lampshade above your kitchen table. You look away. You don't look again. Ed Gein was arrested on November 16, 1957. Officers who processed the scene requested psychological evaluations of their own in the months that followed. The inventory of the farmhouse was sealed from public view for decades. Some of it has never been released. If you want to see more, click the video on screen now.